This is my Persuasive Speech audience, 3 adults, 2 children. My daughter's running the camera and she'll be taking a seat momentarily. The title of my speech is Population Control, and the purpose for this is so that you might be informed enough to go tell your government officials that they should intervene on behalf of the people who are under this control. How would you like it if our government approached us individually and demanded that we cooperate or we face strict fines that we know we can't pay? That's exactly what's happening in these countries that are doing population control. If they have too many children, they have got to pay fines they can't pay. So they're really strict on how things are handled, and they take drastic measures, as we'll see. We don't have to worry about population control in our country, but in Genesis 9:7 it says, "And you be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein." It doesn't say anything about man being in control of population or controlling anything. It says you're supposed to be fruitful and multiply. That's the commandment from God. I have 3 points, and it's on the origins of population control, some of the consequences of population control, and some of the means that we can implement in order to get this accomplished. The idea that humans can and should control their own population goes back to ancient times. It goes back to ancient writers and philosophers like Confucius, Aristotle, Tertullian, and they all equated that an excessive population growth goes hand in hand with a lower standard of living as well as crowding. And this is by Neroth in 1994. In the late 18th century, a British economist, Thomas Malthus, had wrote about the dangers of population, unchecked population growth, in a pamphlet called An Essay of the Principles of Population. He believed that population had a tendency to grow faster than its ability to find or create food. He also believed that population control could be achieved in such manners as war, disease, famine, infanticide, and his ideas were very controversial but very influential in the thought process behind this. So he's a very controversial figure that's from the late 1800s to 1798, I believe it is. And you find this in Population Control, the Encyclopedia of the U.S. Government and the Environment. Some of the consequences that we have are a concern over low fertility, which existed in France and some other Western countries in the 1920s, and it's escalated since then. Another one is the means of sterilization, whether it's informed or uninformed. Many cases on either side have been documented that after a woman has the second child, she's automatically sterilized, with or without her consent, in China. Unmarried women are forced to have abortions. Unmarried women are not allowed to have children in China. Their cultural preference is for sons because they take care of the parents. They're also the labor force for farms. Therefore, there has been a imbalance between boys and girls during pregnancy as which one they're going to keep. They usually keep the sons. Therefore, abandonment of the girls and even infanticide was conducted or seen in the initial years of the one-child family policy. Also, the birth replacement is very low in levels that it is in serious jeopardy of not having enough people to fill the workforce to take care of the elderly people now. So now they have an increased senior population, only boys coming in, a lot of girls being left out, so there's less people to marry and have children, there's less children being born, so now they have a smaller group of people taking care of big masses of people. And this is said by a researcher, it's by a researcher of the one-child family is dangerous because the study shows it works. The population control is actually working the way it's supposed to, and it's making it at dangerous levels. Third, we have some things that we can start and have been started to intervene in this. The United States sharply criticizes the Chinese population control birth planning, and in 2002 they cut the fund. They cut $34 million of funding to the United Nations family planning because China's forced sterilization and forced abortions go against a provision. Part of our money cannot be a part of that, and it's under the U.S. Kemp versus Castor. And therefore, ever since 2002, we have withheld that $34 million. And that's in the one-child family policy as well. In Deuteronomy 5:17, Romans 13:9, and Matthew 19:18, it says, "Thou shalt not kill." In Matthew 5:21, it says, "Ye have heard that it was said in an old time, Thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of judgment." And this is the King James Bible, King James Version, Cambridge Bible. This study here is a means of educating leaders. It's called The Imbalanced Sex Ratio at Birth and Comprehensive Intervention in China. It has many results from other countries who have done population control and the results of the intervention. And it's through this type of studies that we can educate the other leaders on the drastic measures that there's going to have to be taken in order to counter this. In conclusion, we've seen a brief outline of the population control, some of the consequences, as well as some things that can be started or continued to intervene on their behalf. As Christians, we need to pray as well as contact our government officials and encourage them to follow biblical principles of the value of life and to intervene on the behalf of all creatures down here, all humans being created equally in God's image, that we should intervene on their behalf. This speech should only be a beginning point. It shouldn't be an end. It should be a beginning point where you feel that you have enough to either research it yourself or go the next step and take matters by contacting the officials yourself. And while this is mainly about other countries, what if our country is next? Thank you.
Come here, boy.